Kal Penn plays the son of two Indian immigrants in The Namesake. The other films we will be reviewing this week are Wild Hogs with Tim Allen and John Travolta, along with some other of our favorites from the past, in Norbit, a new comedy offering from the wonderful Eddie Murphy that mirrors some of Stanley Kubrick's older films, this week on FilmGab. I'm Gene Krempf from the Cleveland Press.
And I'm Anton Gwenkley of The Plain Dealer.
Alright, let's get straight into it.
Overall, The Namesake looks at the same key things. Passing down heritage, culture, heirlooms, what your name really means to you, the significance it has to your personality, and what it carries with you through your whole life. The film does a great job at showing this, much like the novel, except with the film it's bland. Those little moments that are so important to understanding the thematic elements, like what your heritage means to those around you in an environment where you don't feel welcome, is not shown. There's no personality here except with our original characters of Ashoka and Ashima. Those are the only two that actually have any character. Other than that, I don't get anything from this. I don't see the theme. Let's talk about individual scenes here. Individual parts of the whole story that were significantly altered from what we had. It's crazy what they changed. Let's start first of all with the train. This is the biggest part of this book. It's the reason he gets his namesake.
I believe it's the turning point of the narrative.
Yeah. Anyway, so this train incident, now the important thing is, we know that his father, Ashok, was in a train incident when he was a student in Calcutta. Changed his life, very important stuff, big trauma for him, and why his son is named Gogol. Now, in the book, Gogol has his own incident on a train, and his father thinks that he might have been in his own train accident just like him. He realizes how fragile and how short life is, and that he should tell his son where his name came from, the name that he despises so much. In the book, it's impactful. You feel it. In the film, however, we don't see that at all. It doesn't happen. He meets his girlfriend and they go out to get ice cream and he tells him in the car.
I just think, in a lot of parts in the book, there's important segments and sequences that happen, but in the movie they're altered in ways that change the meaning entirely. Like, I would, for one, like to speak about, it's not necessarily a scene within the movie, but I guess a sequence, a storyline, is near the ending. Gogol's wife begins to cheat on him, or at least we think so, and he thinks so, with a man named Pierre. Now, within the novel, Pierre does not exist. He's a man named Dimitri. He is, sort of an intelligent man. He's someone that Gogol's wife used to know, and now they're having a sort of fiery affair under Gogol's nose. But in the movie, all that is sort of taken away, and all of the malaise that was felt within the relationship leading up to the affair that drove his wife away from him is toned down. And we see this within the movie. A lot of what is impactful, a lot of what is emotional, is sort of softened because of the length that is allowed on film. There's so much breathing room within the book, but in the movie it isn't allowed to breathe. These events aren't allowed to have their own impact. It just has to be scene after scene after scene. It feels more like a long montage than it does a film.
I agree, 100%. And speaking of montages, I think that's a perfect way to bring up what they did to the ending of the movie. I mean, out of anything, I think it's what made me the most upset. I don't know about you, but my favorite part of the book is how open the ending was. You don't know where these characters ended up. You just saw a snippet of their lives. What will they do afterwards? You don't know. You have to make an assumption of what they do with their information that they've learned. In the movie, everything's kind of tied up in a neat little bow. Gogol goes off and starts exploring his home country of India, and he's, reading Nikolai Gogol like his father wanted him to, and he's kind of reconnecting with these things that he pushed away. The mother, who is now trying to become a singer back in Calcutta, and returning home. We see her on a rooftop with the sunset playing sitar and singing, but, everything is so wrapped up, except we had none of this development in the rest of the movie. In the book, it's ended, and you have to put together those pieces for the characters, which I think is far better than what they did with the movie.
You can tell the ending thinks that it deserves to happen, that these characters have deserved these incredibly emotional send-offs, but they simply don't. In the book, it's much more toned down, and even though I believe they would deserve necessarily these send-offs, the rest of the book, things aren't fair. Things happen unfairly. People die, people move on with their lives, and then it ends just as it began, in the middle of a moment in someone's life. There is no happy endings. There is no wonderful montage at the end. It just stops in the middle of a moment. And I think that's beautiful, and I think it really takes away from what the movie means.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, what I think this conversation really brings to hand is the idea of film formalism, which is how can film as an individual medium tell stories in a better or different way than the original mediums that they came from. Now, what I think about The Namesake is that it works as a book because it allows time for the characters to breathe, for each event to have meaning imbued into it, for everything as small as a movement of the hand, a small eye gesture, a small body movement, a single word, can have so much weight, which is brought into specific focus with the wonderful prose, the wonderful vocabulary exhibited by Jhumpa Lahiri. Now, the issue with film as a medium is, with these individual moments, it's difficult to understand the gravity of it without an author placing authorial intent into each segment. I think it's possible to make a movie that has as much gravitas in the small moments as Namesake, the book, does, but I just don't think this movie has it, and that unfortunately really takes away from what I believe is the heart of the story, which is that this is just a story about normal people. This is normal people going through their lives, and in this you have the swelling music and all the trappings of the medium that would normally make something, incredibly melodramatic, but I just don't think it works here. Overall, I think The Namesake is a fine film. I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which hasn't been invented yet as it is 2007. Like we said over the review, the limitations of film as a medium, which are, it's a short list of limitations, but they cut horrifically into what The Namesake is able to do within its runtime as a novel.
Of course, and I think you see that with a lot of these movie adaptations. I mean, it's so hard to put something that's 300 pages into 2 hours. I mean, this is a longer movie, and still everything's so condensed, so I'm going to have to agree with Gene here. And I'm going to give it a 3 on Letterboxd, which isn't real.
Absolutely. And again, I'm Gene Kremp from the Cleveland Press.
And I'm Anton Gwenkley of The Plain Dealer.
And we'll see you to review Wild Hogs with Tim Allen after a message from our sponsors.
I have a structured settlement and I need cash now.